The time period we will be discussing is 1601 to the 1800s, which is also known as the Age of Discovery when it comes to the exploration of our Earth. Most ocean expeditionists and explorers from this time did come out of European countries. Starting at the left, the first scientist is James Cook. He had been considered an ocean scientist a little bit before the 1600s, but was a navigator and explorer. He did 3 voyages between 1768 and 1780 and produced maps, charts, scientific samples, and published theories on the coral reefs. He included Darwin's science into his theories, which had not really been done before. He was killed on his last expedition in Hawaii and never got to finish. Under him is a picture displaying the routes of all 3 of his expeditions. Next is Edmund Halley. He made a voyage to study the magnetic compass and establish a relationship between the barometric pressure and height above the sea level. No one before him had really studied the magnetic compass. Next is Benjamin Franklin. He was the first to chart the Gulf Stream, which is shown above him, and made the observation of ocean currents on the East Coast. He promoted using the Gulf Stream as a quicker means of transportation. The last ocean scientist is Ferdinand Magellan, who sailed the Pacific over 59 million square miles and actually named the Pacific Ocean. He said that he called it Pacific because it was calm and pleasant.
In 1620, Dutch engineer Cornelis Drebbel invented the first working submarine. There were no drawings or plans left to show how it looked, so historians made assumptions about how they thought it would have looked. The submarine wasn't used in combat until 150 years later, though, where it received the name Turtle. Edmund Halley invented the first diving bell in the year 1690. The diving bell was used to transport people for underwater work. The bell gets lowered by a winch so that people can go inside of the chamber where there is air trapped inside due to the pressure of the water at the inner surface of the bell. The bell is made of different heavy materials so that it can stay down underwater. It allows people to go in and out of the water with air still inside for them as water enters the bottom of the open bell, but it leaves more than enough air to breathe.
Many tools were used between 1601 and the 1800s. They aided scientists when it came to making new discoveries. First introduced by Pierre Remy de Boeuf in 1715, the diving suit consisted of a waterproof dress, lead shoes, and a metal helmet connected to tubes that allowed scientists to breathe underwater. In 1772, scientist Sierre Firminent introduced a new diving helmet that allowed scientists to submerge 16 meters deep for up to an hour. A hose attached to the helmet provided a constant supply of air. The submarine was commonly used between the 1620s and 1800s. It made ocean exploration easier as it allowed scientists to move up and down within the water.
Lieutenant James Cook left from Plymouth in Cape Town and went to New Zealand and the Hawaiian Islands along the North American coast. He was also the first person to use a chronometer to accurately determine his longitude at sea.
During the 1600s through the 1700s, deep diving has now been able to happen because of the invention of diving suits and helmets. In 1715, Sir Pierre Remy de Boeuf, a guard in the French Navy, invented the first waterproof diving suit, and in 1772, Sir Firminent invents the diving helmet. Expeditions continue to sail around the world. For instance, in 1698, Edmund Halley, an English astronomer, makes what may be the first scientific voyage to study the variation of the magnetic compass, trade winds, and the relationship between barometric pressure and height above sea level. All of his charts become an important contribution to the emerging field of information visualization. In 1620, the first submarine was built by Dutch physician Cornelis Drebbel. It was made of wood reinforced with iron and covered in leather. Inside, 12 oarsmen fit with 6 on each side. Overall, many great discoveries were made from the 1600s through the 1800s.
A fun fact is that Lieutenant James Cook circumnavigated the world and introduced numerous unknown plants and animals, which was an important part of marine biology. Another interesting fact is that the first submarine isn't like the submarines we've seen today. The first ever submarine was supplied with tubes that had to be held above the water surface by flotation devices. The next interesting fact is that we've spent the past 2,500 years using technology and even risking human lives to try and improve the diving bell. Lastly, Karl Heinrich Klinger, the inventor of the diving machine, tested his invention on the riverbed of his own hometown.